Ready to start, restart, or re-energize your plant-based or vegan practice? You're in the right place. My name's Michelle Olander, and this is Veg Your Best. Episode 186, Believing in the Easter Vegan. Welcome back, my Veg Your Bestie. Welcome back. And if you're new here, please welcome. I hope you're going to be very happy. You know, I have had, oh, there it goes again. I've had a rough March this year. I've had a rough March with an upper respiratory virus that really kicked me to the curb. And you may still hear in my voice. And food still tastes really bad. And apparently it's called dysgeusia. That sounds disgusting, right? Dysgeusia is a condition in which a foul, salty, rancid, or metallic taste sensation persists in the mouth, and it can be a side effect from a virus. And I guess I should really be grateful that everything tastes like salt, given some of the possible alternatives. So I can't taste anything sweet right now. I can't taste any kind of subtleties of food at all. And it's super, super weird. And my current belief is that it will resolve and I will be able to enjoy the flavor of food again. Now, I have no way of knowing this, right? I don't know. And of course, I could also believe it will never get better or that it will never get back to the way it used to be. I have no idea. No way of knowing what the true, definite truth is. But I prefer to believe that it will improve. Okay, that's just a thought. And sometimes, more than once this month, I've even doubted that it will improve. But I just keep reminding myself that the thought that makes me feel a little more positive and in charge is, it'll improve. And if you have ever listened to me on the pod here at Veg Your Best, you know that a big part of what I teach is that our thoughts are always creating big results in our lives. And our thoughts are one thing that we have so much more control over than we actually realize. And when you get used to this, when you get used to it and comfortable noticing and interrogating the difference between the real, incontrovertible facts in your life and then all the thoughts you have about those facts, when you get more comfortable seeing which ones are real true and which ones are just kind of this drama and this concern or worry or fantasy, well, you're better able to observe all your thinking and put a little bit of space between those thoughts and yourself. And it gives you a lot of leverage over what goes on in your life. Now, one area I would say most of my listeners and certainly most of my clients, one area most people will cite as a thought about going vegan or moving in a plant-based direction is the issue of family gatherings and holidays. And the thoughts, there's some variation on, well, this family get-together won't work without animal products. Or the gathering won't be any fun without any meat, dairy, eggs, or fish. Or maybe like the holiday won't really be that holiday without eating animals. And most of us would say, I guess kind of the natural way of speaking, my natural way of speaking for many, many years would have been something like, come on, Easter's not going to be Easter without a ham dinner or without lamb chops and eggs. Maybe I would have thought something like, well, no one's going to be happy with me if there's a vegan Christmas or a plant-based Thanksgiving dinner. Or my in-laws are going to roll their eyes if they show up and I have a vegan Christmas Eve buffet. So maybe you have thoughts in that kind of a tenor. The most natural way I would have expressed my thoughts in the months and years before I went vegan were these kind of repetitive thoughts that were almost unanswerable questions like, vegan? How would that even work? What would that even look like for dinner? Okay, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, but every day? Easter brunch? What would that even look like? Who's even going to want to come to our house when I tell them that? Okay, well, maybe I could do it when I'm cooking. Maybe. But what would I tell my parents or my in-laws? And so many of us have these kind of thoughts we're repeating, but we haven't really slowed them down or examined them to see whether they're actually true. And this is exactly why why I know that the process of going vegan has so many unintended benefits beyond health, beyond sustainability, beyond the incontrovertible ethical benefits. There are so many downstream gifts because the process entails not just those more or less simple actions of choosing to purchase or to consume things that aren't made from animal bodies. That's the simple action. That's not easy when you're thinking things like, no one's going to want to come over. Oh my gosh, how am I going to explain this? Everyone's going to make fun of it. What if I mess up? What if everyone has something to say about it? What if I can't always figure out a vegan alternative when I'm away from home? What if everyone says holidays are disappointing now? What if no one likes the food? What if everyone says, Mom, you ruined Christmas? And even if you are a level 5 solid gold, there's no such thing, right? A level 5 solid gold vegan. There's probably something in your life that you've been avoiding or punting or overcomplicating with repetitive thoughts, kind of like that. Like, oh my God, how would that even work? What would it look like? What are they going to say? No one's going to be happy. It'd be easier if I just don't do what I want here. I can probably count on myself to mess it up anyway, so why even rock the boat? And if you're normal, you're going to say, okay, Michelle, but that's what I'm actually thinking. It is what I actually believe. You can't just tell me I have to believe something else. I can't just poof, think another thought. I can't just think it'll be great, it'll look normal and effortless, everyone will be happy, everyone will support my plan, I will never fail. And you're right, that would be a big ask. It would be. But if you did really believe that it would work great, or at least pretty well, and everyone would be on board, or at least mostly, and everyone would be supportive and that you'd be able to figure it out and be happy and you wouldn't fail. If you did believe all that, I think for sure you would do it. Because every single day we all do things just because we believe it's basically possible. And we believe it's possible even without knowing that every single person in the family will be happy about it or supportive or knowing that it will work out on time as a complete success. We do things all the time that get messed up, that someone's annoyed about, that doesn't turn out perfectly. Now, moving in a vegan direction, it's a little bit harder for most of us to imagine because most of us, me included, do not know other vegans. I know other vegans through my work, but not in my personal life. Most of us do not know other people who eat plant-based, so it's just that much harder to believe ourselves into it. And we make the normal hiccups and imperfections of real life that intrude in every single other aspect of our lives. We make it mean that going vegan has to be seamless, no learning curve. Otherwise, it's probably impossible or pointless in my personal situation. So I'm going to guess. I'm going to predict here from my room where the air conditioning is making a lot of noise. There is nothing in your work life, in your family life, nothing in your educational goals or your travel or your recreational pursuits or your spiritual life or your fitness ideals. There's nothing in your relationships or your nutrition and your eating life. There's nothing that is seamless and that everyone you know agrees about and has required no learning curve. There's nothing like that in your life. But sometimes we expect a plant-based or vegan lifestyle to just be easy. Just be press and play. Because what there are in your life are things you value. There are things you want to do. There are things you think are important. And there are people you care about. And you figure it out. It doesn't always look like a magazine article or an Instagram post. It does not look the way your grandparents did it. Or even, sometimes it doesn't even look like the way you hoped. And what I know in my own life, what I know from the people I talk to, the people I coach, holidays, family gatherings, traditions, these are areas where so many of us think, yeah, no, impossible. There is no holiday without the animal products that we are used to. It won't work. No one will be happy. It won't feel special, and it won't feel like it used to. And I don't want to be blamed for it. And sometimes I ask people who say they would really like to be vegan or that they know they should be eating whole food, plant-based because of doctors' recommendations. They say that they could do it, but how are they supposed to navigate it with the holidays, with the family, with the extended family? How will they figure out the traditional foods? What if no one likes those? What if everyone is upset? And those are some sneaky thoughts there, right? Because they seem like, yeah, what if? Oh my gosh, that would stink. But there are some sneaky thoughts really getting in the way of the solutions. Because first of all, if you're new to a vegan practice, if you haven't been consistently making a lot of vegan and plant-based choices, maybe the holiday dinners you're used to on, I don't know, Thanksgiving or Christmas or Passover or Easter, maybe that's not where you begin. I hear it all the time. Michelle, I hardly eat any meat and dairy, and I could easily be vegan. I could for sure be plant-based except for family weddings or 4th of July, or maybe when I'm on vacation or with my in-laws. And I say, okay, why not do that? Why not? Start there. Take the 5 or 6 or, I don't know, 20 holidays. Do you have 20 holidays in your family? Or special occasion meals? Take them off your to-do list right now. Take them off that list of excuses or reasons why it's impossible. Take them off and solidify your choices and your knowledge on the normal days, on the non-holiday days. Not because it doesn't matter, but because it's distracting you. Not because it doesn't matter, because it does matter, and it's keeping you from doing what you can do today, this week, right now. So that's one solution that's hard to access when you are thinking thoughts like, but what am I going to do on Easter? Or on my grandmother's birthday? Or at my daughter's wedding? On those days, what if you just did what you could and didn't worry at all about what you can't do? And the other extremely unhelpful thing that those thoughts we have are constantly doing to block solutions is making our choices completely dependent on everyone else agreeing with us and everyone else making all the same choices. Did you know that when you make a decision, not every single person in your family does the same thing? I didn't. Okay, of course I did. I did, in theory. But it seemed like, okay, well, how could I be vegan and my family not be? But that's exactly how things are in my life. And you know what? It works. I won't tell you that it doesn't matter at all, but I will tell you what wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked if I'd waited until every single other person was ready to commit to a vegan Christmas and Thanksgiving and holidays. It wouldn't have worked if, like right now, we're getting ready to celebrate all together this week Easter. If I had waited until everyone else was fully or even mostly on board, I still wouldn't be vegan. I had all the same caveats and disbeliefs as anyone, maybe more, plenty more than some people. I had all kinds of negative thoughts about what would go wrong and what that would mean about me. And of course, we've talked about that over the past 180 some odd episodes. We've talked about that a lot. But at some point, I noticed I was spending way more time thinking about the parts that were impossible. I was spending way more time thinking about the events that seemed too hard, or the people and places and holidays that seemed completely incompatible with vegan choices. And I decided I could just practice vegan choices wherever I could, whenever I could, and to focus on what was possible, to veg my best. And then a miracle happened. Have you ever seen that New Yorker cartoon? It's a New Yorker cartoon. It's been around forever, a long time, of a scientist in front of a chalkboard, and the chalkboard has this complicated formula and scientific notation. And as he explains the discovery to his colleague, he points to a point in the equation and says, and then a miracle occurs. On the right side of the equation is the result you want, the solution you're looking for. And on the left side are all the pre-existing circumstances and people and components and variables and traditions. And in the middle, that's where the miracle happens. The miracle is when you focus on what could work, when you focus on what you could do, because it's not the same for everyone. Every one of us has different obstacles and challenges in the way of moving in a plant-based direction. That's why I love coaching on this topic, because how we go vegan is simply the process of moving in a direction of what we want. That's the miracle. And it's such a satisfying, such a positive result when you figure out how you can live a life of connection and vibrancy and compassion wherever you can. And guess what? Every time you focus on the possible, more things become possible. You see more options. And you know that in so many other areas of your life, right? You know that for your kids. You know that for your friends and your loved ones. There is no international vegan policing authority. And one thing I know from working with and talking to so many people with so many different goals and so many different obstacles in the way of those goals, when you don't believe something, it's almost impossible to do it. That's why in our families, with our community, we often have to believe in other people, especially young people or injured people or sick people. These people often have to borrow our belief in them. And as a coach and as a podcaster, I show up here to believe in you and your ability to limit and eliminate the consumption of animal products, not because there is a label vegan that you have to perform in some sort of perfect way, but because the process of creating a vegan or plant-based practice will have ripple effects throughout not just your world, but our world in common. And maybe you're thinking this is going to be a process. It's going to be a process of doing without and missing out and disconnection. And while you're thinking that, those things are going to be harder. But if there's even a small part of you that no longer wants to be part of an unconscious system of animal cruelty and an unsustainable agricultural system, if you really do not want to be part of that, you don't have to wait until you can do it all and everyone's on board and everyone approves. That's why Veg Your Best is here. Veg Your Best. You don't have to wait until you can do it all or do it perfectly. And I, for one, never would have built this life if I had waited to know how everything would work and what it would look like. Now, in my family, personally in my family, this is Easter week, and we're all hoping to be together. All our kids, their spouses, and their kids. We're hoping to be together and share Easter, which in the tradition of my Polish family was probably the most important holiday, and one that I shared with my grandparents. And some family members will probably eat things that I don't. But that does not keep me from doing what I want to do. And it does not keep me from behaving in a way that I think is important. The meat, the fish, the eggs, the dairy that I ate as a child at Easter and as an adult for many years, it's just not part of my holiday anymore. But we'll still have Easter. We'll still be together. We'll still make the little pig from a lemon with cloves and cinnamon sticks. I'm going to try and put that on Instagram so you can see that. We'll still have a mushroom tart and cauliflower and coleslaw and stuffed cabbage, and we will all be together if travel plans and healthy kids allow. And then a miracle occurs, because the holidays in every family and culture are there to connect us to the infinite and the ineffable, and to love and to each other. Because it is still a messy, imperfect, complicated world. And then we choose in these gatherings, in these holidays, in these traditions, we choose to take time out of the mandatory and the daily grind and the requirements of just getting through the day. We take time to connect with each other. We take time to connect with bigger beliefs we have about the world and who we want to be here during this brief human life. And that's when a miracle occurs. That's when the miracle occurs, that we think about the power we do have. So whether you're gathering together for Easter this week, or looking forward to Passover in May, or maybe it's just spring break or spring road trips, I hope you will make a practice of bringing your focus back, continually bring it back to what you can do towards your goals. Because that's where the solutions are. That's where the connection always is. Out there will be so many voices arguing in the world to separate us or tell us we're doing it wrong and pit us against each other. There are voices that want to exploit the challenges we all are facing on this planet. And it can feel like, oh my gosh, this is too much, too hard, and too late. But that's not a way I want to live. And I don't think it's the way you do either. So, kids, whether Easter has any resonance for you or not, happy spring, happy March, happy April coming right up. There is a reason to do things you want to do, even if you can't fully commit to them or be perfect or get everyone on board. And the only real support you need is your own. And if you want to talk about the things in the way for you, creating your consistent practice in the way of showing up in your life the way you want to, it would be my honor. It's always my honor to chat with each of you and see if there's any way I can believe in you while you build your own self-belief. That's why I do what I do, and it's why I'm here every single week. So, until next week, kids, veg your best. Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, Make it easy and veg your best.